Take this one instead. It's marked down for people like you. Ashley Martinez shoved a package of gray, slimy chicken across the counter. The expiration date clearly showed 3 days ago, but she smiled like she was doing him a favor. Derek Thompson looked at the spoiled meat, then at the fresh chicken in the display case behind her. "I'd prefer the fresh chicken, please." Ashley wrinkled her nose like he'd asked for something impossible. "That's $47 a pound. This expired stuff is more your budget anyway." She grabbed disinfectant and scrubbed where his hands had touched the counter, making exaggerated gagging sounds for the crowd watching. Behind him, a teenager quietly pulled out her phone and started recording. Derek adjusted his sleeve, revealing a flash of expensive metal underneath. "Have you ever been judged so harshly that people assumed your worth before knowing your story? Have you ever been judged so harshly that people assumed your worth before knowing your story?" 10:47 a.m. Corporate inspection in 73 minutes. The digital clock above the deli counter ticked forward as Ashley's manager, Brad Kowalski, emerged from the walk-in cooler. His khakis were perfectly pressed, his polo shirt spotless. He took one look at Derek and his expression soured. "Problem here, Ash?" "This guy wants our premium salmon," Ashley's voice carried across the department. "I told him we have some older stock that might be more appropriate." Brad's eyes swept over Derek's appearance-scuffed sneakers, jeans with a small tear near the pocket, shirt that had seen better days. His judgment was swift and obvious. "Sir, our Atlantic salmon is $47 per pound, fresh caught this morning." Brad's tone suggested Derek couldn't possibly afford it. "But we do have some day-old portions marked down significantly." He gestured toward a section clearly labeled with yesterday's date. The fish had a dull sheen, edges slightly brown. "I'd prefer the fresh salmon," Derek said quietly. His voice was steady, professional. "Could I see the harvest date on the packaging?" Ashley and Brad exchanged glances. Brad stepped forward, positioning himself between Derek and the premium display case like a guardian protecting treasure. "The fresh fish is for our preferred customers," Brad said. "People who shop here regularly. Spend serious money." Behind them, more customers had gathered. The teenager with the phone, whose name was actually Zara Williams, though no one knew that yet, had positioned herself for the perfect angle. Her TikTok stream was already climbing toward 50 viewers. "Discrimination at Fresh Market," she whispered into her phone. "This is wild." 10:52 a.m., 68 minutes remaining. Derek reached into his jacket pocket. For a moment, Brad tensed, but Derek only pulled out his phone, an expensive model that looked out of place with his humble clothes. "I'd like to document the expiration dates on the fish you're recommending," Derek said, holding up the camera. "Whoa, whoa!" Brad held up his hands. "You can't just film in here without permission." "Food safety is public information," Derek replied, snapping photos of the day-old salmon packages, "especially when someone's trying to sell expired products." Ashley's face flushed red. "It's not expired. It's marked down. There's a difference." But Derek had already captured the dates. The salmon Ashley pushed toward him was 3 days past its sell-by date. The day-old fish Brad mentioned was actually from last week. A woman in line behind them gasped. "Is that really what they're selling?" "Ma'am, please don't listen to him," Brad said quickly. "This gentleman is clearly trying to cause trouble." Derek set his phone aside and pulled out a small leather portfolio. It was expensive Italian leather, gold clasps another piece that didn't match his outfit. He removed what looked like a business card and glanced at it briefly. "Actually, I'd like to speak with your store manager about your food rotation practices," he said, "and your customer service policies." Brad's laugh was ugly. "Customer service? Buddy, customer service is for customers. Maybe try the Discount Mart down the street. They're more accommodating to people like you." The phrase hung in the air like a slap. Several customers shifted uncomfortably. Zara's viewer count hit 200. people like me?" Derek's voice remained calm, but something flickered in his eyes. "You know what I mean," Brad said, not backing down. "This isn't exactly your neighborhood, is it?" An elderly black woman in line cleared her throat loudly. "Excuse me, young man, but that was completely inappropriate." "Ma'am, please don't interfere," Ashley snapped. "We're handling this situation." 10:58 a.m. 62 minutes remaining. Derek quietly opened his portfolio wider, revealing official-looking documents with the Fresh Market Elite logo. He pulled out a small digital recorder professional grade, not a phone app. "Has this conversation been recorded?" he asked calmly. "You can't record us without consent," Brad said, but his voice had lost some of its confidence. "Actually, in this state, only one party needs to consent to recording," Derek replied. "And I consent." He held up the device, which had been running the entire time. Ashley grabbed Brad's arm. "Maybe we should just—" "No." Brad's jaw was set. "I'm not being intimidated by some guy trying to shake us down with a camera." The teenager's stream was now approaching 500 viewers. Comments were flying. "This is insane. Call the news. Someone get this man's name." Derek carefully photographed several more expired items in the deli case potato salad from 4 days ago, sandwich meat that had clearly turned color. Each photo was methodical, professional. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to stop photographing our products," Brad said, "and I think it's time for you to leave." "I'll wait for your manager," Derek said simply. The standoff was complete. Derek stood calm and composed despite the public humiliation. Brad and Ashley flanked the deli counter like guards. Other customers watched with growing discomfort as the tension ratcheted higher. None of them knew that in 62 minutes, everything would change. 11:03 a.m., 57 minutes remaining. The click of heels on marble announced Rebecca Stone's arrival before anyone saw her. The store manager moved through Fresh Market Elite like she owned it, which, in her mind, she practically did. 15 years climbing the corporate ladder had given her a confidence that bordered on arrogance. "What's the situation here?" Her voice cut through the murmur of gathering customers. Brad straightened immediately. "This individual is harassing our staff and taking unauthorized photographs of our products." Rebecca's gaze swept over Derek with the same dismissive assessment her employees had made. Cheap clothes, quiet demeanor, alone, clearly not their target demographic. "Sir, I'm going to need you to delete those photos and leave the premises," she said without introduction. "I'd prefer to speak with you about food safety violations," Derek replied evenly. Rebecca's laugh was sharp, designed to embarrass. "Food safety violations? From someone who probably doesn't even shop here regularly?" The insult landed deliberately. Several customers stepped back, uncomfortable but unwilling to intervene. This was exactly the kind of confrontation everyone preferred to avoid. 11:07 a.m., 53 minutes remaining. "Ma'am, with respect, your deli staff just tried to sell me salmon that's 3 days expired," Derek said, holding up his phone with the photos. "Let me see that." Rebecca snatched the phone before Derek could react. The move was aggressive, invasive. Gasps echoed through the crowd. Zara's live stream exploded with outrage. "She just grabbed his phone! This is theft! Someone call the police!" Rebecca scrolled through the photos, her expression shifting from dismissive to concerned to angry. The images were damning clear shots of expiration dates, spoiled food displayed for sale. "These photos are taken out of context," she said finally, but her voice lacked conviction. "The dates are clearly visible," Derek said calmly. "Your staff recommended expired fish after making discriminatory comments about my appearance and economic status." "Discriminatory?" Rebecca's voice rose an octave. "That's a serious accusation. Do you have any proof beyond your own claims?" Derek gestured toward the growing crowd. "Multiple witnesses, and yes, I have recordings." "He's been secretly recording us," Ashley burst out. "That's illegal." "Actually, it's not," said a voice from the crowd. A middle-aged white woman stepped forward, a lawyer, based on her confident demeanor. Single-party consent state. He can record conversations he's part of. Rebecca's face flushed. The situation was spiraling beyond her control, and she knew it. Time for the nuclear option. 11:12 a.m., 48 minutes remaining. Security to the deli department, Rebecca spoke into her radio. Code yellow. Within minutes, 2 security guards arrived, both large, both moving with purpose. Their presence shifted the entire dynamic. What had been a customer service issue was now something else entirely. "This gentleman is trespassing and harassing our staff," Rebecca announced loudly. "He's refused multiple requests to leave." "Sir, we're going to need you to come with us," the first guard said. Derek remained perfectly still. "I haven't broken any laws. I'm a customer attempting to report food safety violations to management." "You're disturbing other customers," the second guard said, gesturing to the crowd. "Time to go." The irony was perfect. The crowd gathered because of the staff's behavior, but Derek was being blamed for the disturbance. "I'll wait right here for corporate," Derek said quietly. The phrase stopped everyone cold. Corporate? How did this casually dressed man know about corporate inspections? "What corporate?" Rebecca demanded. "The inspection is scheduled for noon," Derek replied. "I believe they'll be interested in these food safety violations." Rebecca's eyes narrowed. How could he possibly know about the inspection? That information was confidential, shared only with senior management. 11:15 a.m., 45 minutes remaining. "Sir, you have 2 choices," the first security guard said. "Leave voluntarily, or we will escort you out." "And if I refuse?" "Then we call the police." The threat hung in the air like smoke. This was the moment that would define everything: submit to the humiliation, or stand firm and face arrest. Zara's live stream had hit 800 viewers. Comments poured in faster than she could read them. Someone had started a Twitter thread. The story was spreading beyond the store's walls. "Call them," Derek said simply. Rebecca blinked. She'd expected capitulation, not defiance. "Excuse me?" "Call the police. I'd like to file a report about discrimination and attempted fraud through the sale of expired food." The tables had turned so smoothly that Rebecca didn't immediately understand what had happened. She'd expected fear, embarrassment, retreat. Instead, she got calm determination and legal language. "You're making a mistake," she said, but her voice wavered. "Am I?" Derek's smile was slight but confident. "We'll see." 11:18 a.m., 42 minutes remaining. While Rebecca fumbled with her radio, calling for police backup she wasn't sure she wanted, other customers began sharing their own experiences. "They did the same thing to me last month," said an elderly black man. "Tried to sell me expired milk, acted like I should be grateful." "The staff here has always been selective about who gets good service," added a Latina woman with her teenage daughter. Each story built on the last. The discrimination wasn't isolated. It was systemic, practiced, deliberate. Zara's followers were taking screenshots, sharing stories, and building a case in real time. Rebecca watched her store's reputation crumble on social media while she waited for backup that might not help her cause. 11:22 a.m., 38 minutes remaining. "Ma'am," one of the security guards said quietly, "maybe we should just let him wait for corporate. If they're really coming—" "They are coming," Derek confirmed. "And they'll want to see everything. The expired food, the recordings, the witness statements." He gestured to his phone, which was still recording. Then to the crowd, many now filming with their own devices. Then to Zara, whose live stream was approaching 1,000 viewers. "This is all being documented," he continued. "Every word, every action, every decision you make in the next 38 minutes. Rebecca felt the walls closing in. Corporate inspection, social media exposure, potential legal action, all because her staff couldn't treat a customer with basic respect. "Who are you?" she whispered. Derek checked his expensive watch, the one that didn't match his humble clothes. "You'll find out soon enough." 11:25 a.m., 35 minutes remaining. The police arrived just as the situation reached its peak tension. Two officers, both professional but clearly uncertain about what they'd walked into. "Someone called about a trespassing situation," the first officer asked.
"This man is refusing to leave after harassing our staff," Rebecca said quickly. "And this man says he's documenting discrimination and food safety violations," the officer replied, having clearly overheard the crowd's explanations. Derek remained calm. "Officers, I'm waiting for a scheduled corporate inspection. I believe management would prefer to handle this internally." The phrase, corporate inspection, carried weight. Both officers stepped back slightly, suddenly cautious about taking sides in what might be a larger corporate matter. Rebecca realized she'd lost control completely. In trying to remove one quiet customer, she'd created a spectacle that was now beyond her authority to manage. The countdown clock above the deli showed 11:27 a.m., 33 minutes until everything changed. 11:30 a.m., 30 minutes remaining. The first hint, something had shifted, came when Derek's phone buzzed with a text. He glanced at it, smiled slightly, then looked directly at Rebecca. "Your corporate team just arrived in the parking lot," he said quietly. Rebecca's face went pale. "That's impossible. They're not due until noon." "Yes, I know." Derek's voice carried a new authority. "They decided to come early." Through the store's front windows, everyone could see a black SUV pulling into the executive parking spaces. 3 people in business suits emerged, moving with purpose toward the entrance. "How do you know that?" Rebecca demanded. The question hung in the air as customers pressed closer. Zara's live stream viewer count had jumped to 1,200, comments flying faster than anyone could read them. Derek reached into his jacket pocket, not for his phone this time, but for something else. Something that would change everything. 11:32 a.m., 28 minutes remaining. The small leather wallet he produced looked ordinary until he flipped it open. Inside, clearly visible to everyone watching, was an employee ID badge, Fresh Market Elite logo, executive-level clearance, and a name that made Rebecca's knees buckle. Derek Thompson, Regional Vice President, Operations. The silence that followed was deafening. Ashley dropped the price gun she'd been holding. Brad's mouth fell open. The security guards took an involuntary step backward. "Oh my God," someone in the crowd whispered. But the shock was just beginning. Derek continued speaking in the same calm voice that had never wavered, even under the worst humiliation. "This store has been flagged for systematic customer service issues for 8 months, he said. Today was an unscheduled assessment to determine the root cause." Rebecca stared at the ID badge like it might disappear if she blinked hard enough. That can't be real." "Would you like to call corporate and verify?" Derek asked calmly. "I can give you the direct number. It's my direct number." 11:34 a.m., 26 minutes remaining. Zara's live stream exploded. Viewer count jumped from 1,200 to 4,000 in seconds. Comments flew faster than the screen could display them. "He's the boss! Plot twist of the century! These people are so fired! This is better than any movie! Someone call the news stations!" The police officers exchanged glances. This was no longer a trespassing issue. This was a corporate internal matter that had spiraled completely out of control. "Ma'am, we're going to step back and let you handle this," the first officer said to Rebecca. "Seems like you have bigger issues than we can help with." They left quickly, not wanting any part of what was clearly going to be a career-ending disaster for several people. Derek opened his leather portfolio fully now, revealing documents that made Rebecca's blood run cold. Each page was marked with the Fresh Market Elite corporate seal, each document bearing official signatures and legal letterhead.
This was supposed to be a routine operational assessment, Derek said, his voice carrying across the silent crowd. I dressed down for these visits specifically to see how staff treat customers they perceive as less valuable. 11:36 a.m. 24 minutes remaining. Ashley was hyperventilating. Sir, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. You didn't know who I was, Derek interrupted, but you knew who you thought I was. And that's exactly the problem. He pulled out the first document, a thick report bound in corporate blue. Customer satisfaction metrics for this location. Would you like to hear your scores? Rebecca couldn't speak. Her mouth moved, but no sound emerged. Overall customer satisfaction, 2.1 out of 5, worst in the district. Food quality ratings, 1.8 out of 5. Staff courtesy, 1.3 out of 5. Derek's voice was clinical, professional. But here's the interesting part, when we break it down by customer demographics. The crowd leaned in despite themselves. This was real data, real numbers that told a story everyone suspected but had never seen proven. White customers rate staff courtesy at 2.8 out of 5. Hispanic customers, 1.9. Black customers, 0.7 out of 5. Each number landed like a physical blow. Care to explain that disparity, Ms. Stone? 11:38 a.m. 22 minutes remaining. But before Rebecca could respond, the teenager who'd been filming, Zara Williams stepped forward with a confidence that surprised everyone. Actually, she said, pulling out her own ID badge, I'm Corporate Compliance Officer Zara Williams. I've been documenting this entire interaction for our quarterly bias assessment. The second revelation hit like a physical blow. Rebecca actually stumbled backward. There had been 2 corporate employees in her store the entire time, and she'd just humiliated both of them on camera. This is impossible, Rebecca whispered. Your store has the worst customer satisfaction ratings in the district, Zara continued, scrolling through data on her tablet. 67% of complaints come from customers of color. Today, we documented why. She held up her tablet, showing real-time analytics. We've received 43 formal discrimination complaints about this location in the past 6 months. 43. The district average is 4. The numbers were staggering. Each statistic built a case that was impossible to deny or explain away. 11:40 a.m. 20 minutes remaining. Derek's phone buzzed again. He answered it on speaker, and the voice that emerged made Rebecca's remaining hope evaporate. Derek? It's Janet from Legal. Are you streaming live right now? Not intentionally, Derek replied, glancing at Zara's phone. But yes, this is being broadcast. We're getting calls from reporters. Twitter is exploding. The hashtag Fresh Market Discrimination is trending nationally. CNN wants a statement. Rebecca felt the floor disappear beneath her feet. This wasn't just a corporate issue anymore. It was a public relations nightmare that would reach the company's board of directors within hours. How many viewers are we talking about? Derek asked. Zara checked her stream. 7,000 and climbing. Someone shared it to Facebook and Instagram. Local news stations are picking it up. This is going viral. The corporate implications were staggering. Stock prices, shareholder confidence, nationwide reputation, all hanging in the balance because of expired fish and racist comments. 11:42 a.m., 18 minutes remaining. The 3 corporate executives who'd arrived in the SUV entered through the front doors. Rebecca recognized them immediately. Regional Director Patricia Hayes, HR Director Michael Brooks, and Legal Counsel Sarah Martinez. Patricia took one look at the scene crowd of customers, phones recording. Her regional VP standing calmly in the center of chaos and understood immediately. Status report, she said to Derek. Systematic discrimination confirmed, Derek replied. Food safety violations documented. Customer harassment recorded. Multiple witnesses. Everything's been live streamed to approximately 7,000 viewers and growing. Patricia's expression was grim. Estimated liability? Significant, Sarah Martinez answered, already taking notes. Discrimination lawsuit potential, health department violations, public relations disaster. We're looking at 7 figures minimum if this goes to court. Michael Brooks approached Rebecca with the expression of someone delivering a terminal diagnosis. Ms. Stone, we need to talk, privately, now. 11:44 a.m., 16 minutes remaining. But before Rebecca could respond, more shocking revelations emerged. Derek pulled out another device, a small digital recorder that was clearly professional-grade equipment. I've been recording since I entered the store, he announced. Everything is documented. Every word, every action, every discriminatory comment. He pressed play. Ashley's voice filled the air, crystal clear and undeniable. You don't touch that with your dirty hands. This expired stuff is more your speed anyway. Then Brad's voice, dripping with condescension. The fresh fish is for our preferred customers, people who shop here regularly. Maybe try the discount mart down the street. They're more accommodating to people like you. Each quote hit like a hammer blow. There was no denying what had happened, no claiming misunderstanding or miscommunication. The discrimination was clear, intentional, and recorded in high-definition audio. 11:46 a.m., 14 minutes remaining. The crowd murmured with shock and anger. Several customers pulled out their own phones, adding to the documentation. This wasn't just going viral, it was becoming a movement. But wait, Derek said, producing yet another document. There's more. From his portfolio, he pulled out a comprehensive food safety inspection report that made Patricia Hayes visibly wince. Brad, Ashley, you recommended expired salmon, 3-day-old fish, and week-old potato salad to a customer specifically because you judged him unworthy of fresh food. He held up clear photographs of each item, timestamps visible, expiration dates obvious. The salmon you pushed was $47 per pound when fresh. Expired, it's worthless. But more than that, it's dangerous. Selling expired seafood violates health codes, Section 4601.11, and could result in criminal charges. 11:48 a.m. 12 minutes remaining. But Derek wasn't finished. From his portfolio, he produced a thick document that made the entire corporate team freeze. This is our comprehensive analysis of this location, he said. Prepared over the past 6 months based on customer complaints, mystery shopper reports, and social media monitoring. The statistics were devastating. 847 customer complaints in the past year, 67% from customers of color. Average resolution time for white customers, 2.3 days average resolution time for black customers, 18.7 days. Employee bias training completion rate, 23%. Food safety violations, 34 in 6 months. Staff turnover rate, 89%, mostly people of color quitting. Revenue loss from discrimination settlements, $847,000 annually. Your store, Derek said to Rebecca, loses this company approximately $847,000 annually in discrimination settlements, legal fees, and lost customer revenue. The number hung in the air like a death sentence. 11:50 a.m. 10 minutes remaining. Ashley was crying now, mascara streaming down her cheeks. Please, Mr. Thompson, I need this job. I have student loans, rent. You needed this job, Derek corrected. Past tense. You also needed to treat customers with basic human dignity. You failed at both. What about second chances? Brad asked desperately. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity when they shop here, Derek interrupted. You denied that to customers every day. Why should you get what you refused to give others? The live stream had reached 10,000 viewers. Comments poured in from across the country. Justice served. This is what accountability looks like. More companies need to do this. I'm never shopping anywhere that treats people like this. 11:52 a.m. 8 minutes remaining.
The corporate team huddled briefly. When they broke apart, Patricia Hayes' expression was resolute. "Ms. Stone, Mr. Kowalski, Ms. Martinez," she said formally. "You're terminated effective immediately. Security will escort you out. Your final paychecks will be mailed." But Derek held up a hand. "Actually, there's one more thing." He pulled out his phone and showed the group a number. $2.3 million. That's our projected loss if this story continues to spread without proper corporate response. Stock price impact, boycott potential, legal settlements, it adds up quickly. The weight of the situation finally hit everyone. This wasn't just about 3 fired employees. This was about a company's reputation, a national conversation about discrimination, and a viral moment that would be studied in business schools for years. By the time the clock showed 11:54 a.m., everything had changed forever. 11:55 a.m., 5 minutes remaining. The boardroom-level tension was palpable as Patricia Hayes stepped forward, her expression grave. She'd handled corporate crises before, but never one unfolding live in front of 10,000 viewers with cameras rolling and social media exploding in real time. "Mr. Thompson, what are your recommendations?" she asked formally, her voice carrying the weight of someone who understood that the next few minutes would define careers and potentially destroy a company's reputation. Derek consulted his portfolio, pulling out a document marked Confidential, Corrective Action Plan. The pages were thick with legal language, financial projections, and implementation timelines that had clearly been prepared over months of careful investigation. "Immediate termination is just the beginning," he said, his voice carrying the authority of someone who'd built his career on turning around failing operations. "We're looking at systematic failure across multiple compliance areas that create massive corporate liability." He opened to a page covered in red highlighted violations, each one representing thousands of dollars in potential fines and lawsuits. Health Department Code Section 4 to 601.11. Selling expired perishables. Potential fine, $25,000 per violation. We documented 17 separate instances today alone. Rebecca, still reeling from her termination and the complete destruction of her career, found her voice through the shock. 17? That's impossible. We check dates every morning. "Ms. Stone," legal counsel Sarah Martinez interrupted coldly, pulling out her own documentation. "You're no longer employed here. Please refrain from speaking about company operations. Also, your morning date checks are documented as falsified on 14 separate occasions over the past month." 11:56 a.m. 4 minutes remaining. Zara held up her tablet, showing the compliance violations in real time with timestamps and photographic evidence. Beyond the food safety issues, we have documented evidence of systematic discrimination under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Section 703A1. She scrolled through her data, revealing months of careful documentation. Pattern of disparate treatment based on race documented over 6 months of observation. 43 formal complaints, 37 informal complaints, and today's live-streamed evidence. This creates massive liability under federal anti-discrimination statutes. Patricia's phone buzzed continuously with incoming calls, 3 from board members, 2 from legal firms, 1 from the company's public relations agency, and several from major news outlets who'd picked up the viral story. The crisis was escalating exponentially. "What's our immediate legal exposure?" she asked Sarah, dreading the answer. "Conservative estimate? $3.2 million in legal settlements if current customers file discrimination suits based on documented patterns. Aggressive estimate if this goes to class action with punitive damages, $15 to $20 million, plus ongoing monitoring costs and mandatory compliance programs." The numbers made Ashley sob louder, her makeup completely destroyed. She was beginning to understand that her casual racism and expired food sales had just cost her company millions of dollars and potentially hundreds of jobs. 11:57 a.m., 3 minutes remaining. But Derek wasn't finished with his revelations.
He produced another document, this one marked with official government seals and bearing the signature of state health officials. "I contacted the state health department during my assessment," he announced, holding up his phone showing a sent email time-stamped at 11:23 a.m. "Inspector Rodriguez will arrive at 2 p.m. for an emergency food safety audit with full testing capabilities." Rebecca's face went white as she realized the implications. "You called the health department during the incident?" Section 4204.11 of the State Health Code requires immediate reporting of willful sale of expired perishables, Derek replied, showing the relevant statute on his tablet. "This wasn't an accidental oversight. Your staff deliberately attempted to sell contaminated food to a customer they deemed unworthy of fresh products. That's criminal negligence." HR Director Michael Brooks was already calculating the cascading implications on his laptop. Emergency health inspection, viral discrimination video, terminated employees, federal civil rights investigation, potential criminal charges for food safety violations. "It gets significantly worse," Derek continued, producing yet another document from his seemingly endless portfolio. "Our insurance carrier, Mutual Business Protection, has already been notified per our reporting requirements. Discrimination claims void our liability coverage under Section 12.3 of our policy. We're completely financially exposed." 11:58 a.m., 2 minutes remaining. Patricia's phone rang with the distinctive tone she'd assigned to the CEO. She glanced at the caller ID and her face went pale. "That's Marcus Williams." The live stream audience watched in real time as corporate America's accountability machine kicked into high gear. Comments flooded in faster than anyone could read. "This is better than any TV show." "Watch capitalism eat itself." "Justice happening live." "Share this everywhere." "Screenshot everything." "Take the call," Derek said firmly. "Put it on speaker. Transparency is our only option now. The cover-up is always worse than the crime." Patricia hesitated for a moment, understanding that this conversation would be heard by thousands of people and likely recorded for posterity, then answered. "Mr. Williams, we have a significant situation requiring immediate board-level intervention." CEO Marcus Williams's voice filled the store, clear and authoritative. "Patricia, I'm watching the live stream with the entire board of directors. 15,000 viewers and climbing exponentially. CNN just called. What's your immediate action plan?" 11:59 a.m., 1 minute remaining. "Sir, we've terminated the employees directly involved and are implementing immediate corrective measures across all operational areas," Patricia replied, reading from notes Sarah Martinez was rapidly scribbling. "Not nearly enough," the CEO said curtly, his voice carrying the weight of someone watching stock prices and shareholder confidence evaporate in real time. "This is a company-defining moment that will be studied in business schools. What are we doing beyond firing 3 people?" Derek stepped forward, understanding that this was the moment that would determine whether this became a story of corporate accountability or corporate destruction. "Mr. Williams, this is Derek Thompson. I have comprehensive recommendations that can turn this crisis into transformation." "Derek, thank God you're handling this. What do you need? Full authorization?" "Complete operational overhaul. Budget approval for $500,000 in immediate changes plus ongoing investment. And I need it authorized live, on camera, so our customers and the public know we're absolutely serious about change." The pause felt eternal. 15,000 people, board members, news outlets, and employees waited for the CEO's response that would determine the company's future. "Approved without reservation. Whatever you need. What's the comprehensive plan?" 12 p.m., noon, corporate inspection time. Derek opened his final document, a comprehensive reform plan that he'd clearly prepared well in advance, suggesting this investigation had been planned for months. Immediate implementation plan, effective today with 72-hour completion deadline. First, all expired inventory removed and destroyed under Health Department supervision. Estimated loss,
approximately $43,000, absorbed entirely by corporate with full documentation. Second, complete staff retraining program. 40 hours of bias elimination certification required for continued employment, conducted by external diversity consultants. Third, technology solution implementation. AI-powered inventory management systems prevent expired products from reaching customers. Installation cost, $125,000. Monthly monitoring, $8,000. Fourth, community investment fund establishment. $500,000 allocated immediately for local programs addressing food insecurity and racial equity initiatives. Fifth, management restructuring with accountability measures. 3 qualified Black employees were promoted to management positions immediately with full salary adjustments. Each point landed with corporate precision and legal weight. This wasn't just punishment, it was systematic transformation with measurable outcomes. 12:02 p.m. Zara's live stream showed the real-time implementation beginning as store employees who'd witnessed the discrimination were already removing expired products from displays, working under the supervision of the corporate team. But the most important change, Derek continued, is cultural transformation with technological enforcement. He gestured to the crowd of customers, many of them people of color who'd experienced similar treatment at this and other locations. We're implementing the Respect Monitor system immediately. Customer feedback app with direct reporting to corporate headquarters, bypassing all local management. Any discrimination complaint triggers automatic investigation within 24 hours. The technology solution was elegant and powerful. Customers would have direct access to corporate accountability, eliminating the local management filter that had allowed discrimination to flourish. Monthly bias audits by external consultancy, he continued, quarterly diversity assessments with public reporting, semi-annual community listening sessions with published responses to all concerns. 12:05 p.m. Patricia was taking notes frantically while simultaneously fielding texts from board members. Estimated total cost for full implementation across all locations? $1.2 million in first-year implementation, Derek replied, but projected savings from avoided lawsuits, improved customer retention, positive publicity, and increased market share in diverse communities. $4.7 million annually within 18 months. Sarah Martinez nodded approvingly while reviewing legal precedents on her tablet. Significantly cheaper than fighting a class action discrimination suit, which we would likely lose given today's evidence. The live stream comments reflected growing approval and surprise. This is how you actually fix a company. Real accountability and real solutions. Other businesses need to watch this. They're not just firing people, they're changing everything. But Derek had one final revelation that would cement the transformation and ensure its success. 12:07 p.m. There's something else that makes this plan not just necessary, but strategically advantageous, he said, producing a letter with multiple official letterheads from major civil rights organizations. He read from the letter with careful emphasis. The NAACP, Urban League, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and local Black Business Alliance have been monitoring this situation through community member reports. Should Fresh Market Elite implement comprehensive anti-discrimination measures with community oversight, our organizations pledge public support and partnership in community investment initiatives. The endorsement was incredibly powerful. Instead of facing organized protests and coordinated boycotts, the company could earn community partnership and generate massive positive publicity. However, Derek continued, his voice taking on a steel edge, failure to implement these changes within 72 hours will result in coordinated advocacy efforts, encouraging customers to shop elsewhere, plus formal complaints to state and federal agencies. The ultimatum was clear, fair, and backed by organizations with real power. Real change would be rewarded with community support. Empty promises would be punished with economic consequences. CEO Williams's voice returned through the speaker with decisive authority. Derek, you have my complete authorization to implement every single recommendation,
Budget approved. Timeline approved. Whatever resources you need. The transformation was official, authorized at the highest level, and broadcast live to ensure accountability. 12:10 p.m. The immediate consequences. Patricia Hayes turned to address the terminated employees with the cold efficiency of corporate justice. The live stream audience of 18,000 watched as accountability played out in real time. Ashley Martinez, Brad Kowalski. Your termination is effective immediately. You're banned from all Fresh Market Elite locations nationwide. Security will escort you out after you surrender your uniforms and name tags. Ashley's sobs echoed through the store. Please, I can't afford to lose this job. I have rent, student loans. You should have considered that before you decided to humiliate customers and sell expired food. Derek replied quietly. Actions have consequences. Brad made one last desperate attempt. This is unfair. We were just following store culture. Everyone treats customers differently based on race? Michael Brooks interrupted. You just admitted to systematic discrimination on camera. Security, please escort them out now. The two security guards who'd initially threatened to remove Derek now walked Ashley and Brad toward the exit. The irony wasn't lost on anyone watching. 12:15 p.m. Systemic changes begin. While the terminated employees gathered their belongings under security escort, Derek was already implementing transformation with military precision. Keisha Williams, he called to a young black woman who'd been working the produce section. You're now assistant manager, effective immediately. Salary increases to $52,000 annually. Keisha's eyes widened. Sir, I don't understand. You've been here 3 years, you have your food safety certification, and according to customer feedback, you consistently provide excellent service to everyone, Derek replied. That's exactly what management should look like. He turned to a Hispanic man stocking shelves. Carlos Mendez, you're now head of customer service. Same salary increase. Your multilingual skills and community connections make you invaluable. The promotions sent a clear message. Discrimination was being replaced with opportunity. 20 p.m. Technology implementation. Zara Williams was already on her tablet, coordinating with the IT department. The Respect Monitor app goes live in 48 hours, she announced. Customers can report concerns directly to corporate with photo evidence, timestamps, and immediate escalation protocols. She showed the crowd a demo on her tablet. Simple interface. Rate your experience, report problems, track corporate responses. Complete transparency. A customer raised her hand. What if store managers try to retaliate against people who complain? Impossible, Derek replied. Reports go directly to my office and legal. Local management never sees them. Retaliation is automatic termination plus personal liability for civil rights violations. 12:25 p.m. Community investment. Patricia Hayes had been coordinating with corporate accounting during the chaos. The $500,000 community investment fund is approved and allocated, she announced. Local food banks, youth programs, small business development, all managed with community input. An elderly black gentleman in the crowd stepped forward. How do we know this isn't just publicity that disappears in 6 months? Valid concern, Derek acknowledged. That's why we're partnering with the Urban League for oversight. They'll audit our progress quarterly and publish public reports. No hiding, no backtracking. Sarah Martinez added, It's also written into our corporate governance documents. These commitments are legally binding, not just PR promises. 12:30 p.m. Training and cultural change. Michael Brooks was already scheduling the mandatory bias training. Every employee, 40 hours of certification. External consultants, community input, ongoing education. Anyone who refuses training is terminated. What about employees who've been here for years? Asked a concerned worker. Everyone starts fresh, Derek replied. Good employees who treat customers with respect have nothing to fear. Those who don't will find other employment. He gestured to the crowd of customers who'd witnessed everything. Your neighbors, your community, they're not just revenue sources. They're human beings who deserve dignity. 12:35 p.m. Food Safety Revolution. The most dramatic change was already underway. Store employees worked under health department supervision to remove every expired item from the shelves. AI inventory management prevents this from happening again, Derek explained, showing his tablet with the new system interface. Automated tracking, expiration alerts, automatic removal protocols, technology serving ethics. Inspector Rodriguez from the State Health Department had arrived early and was documenting the voluntary compliance. This is unprecedented cooperation, he told the live stream audience. Most stores fight inspections. This is voluntary transparency. 12:40 p.m. Personal accountability. Personal. But the most powerful moment came when Rebecca Stone, the fired store manager, approached Derek one final time. "I want to apologize," she said, her voice shaking. "Not because I got fired, but because I realized how wrong I was. I let prejudice guide my decisions." Derek studied her carefully. "Apologies are words. What matters is change." "I know," Rebecca replied. "I'll do the bias training anyway, at my own expense. I need to understand how I became someone who could treat people that way." The exchange was broadcast live to 20,000 viewers. Real accountability wasn't just about punishment, it was about growth. 12:45 p.m. New leadership Keisha Williams stood behind the customer service counter, already transformed from employee to manager. Her first decision was telling. "From now on, every customer gets the same treatment," she announced to her new team. "Premium service for everyone, fresh food for everyone, respect for everyone." Carlos Mendez nodded agreement. "We're not just selling groceries, we're serving our community." The cultural transformation was immediate and visible. Employees who'd watched discrimination unfold were now empowered to create inclusion. 12:50 p.m. Measuring success. Patricia Hayes addressed the live stream audience directly. "These changes will be measured and reported publicly. Customer satisfaction scores, diversity metrics, community impact, all transparent, all accountable." Zara added, "Follow-up visits every 30 days, public progress reports. This isn't a one-time fix, it's a permanent transformation." The commitment was comprehensive and verifiable. Corporate accountability with community oversight. As the clock approached 1:00 p.m., Fresh Market Elite had transformed from a symbol of discrimination into a model of corporate responsibility. The real work was just beginning, but the foundation was solid. 3 months later, the story that began with spoiled fish and casual racism had transformed into something much larger. Fresh Market Elite's stock price had risen 18% as investors rewarded genuine corporate accountability. The Fresh Market model was being studied by business schools nationwide. Derek Thompson stood in the same store, watching Keisha Williams train new employees. The diversity was striking. The staff now reflected the community they served. Customer satisfaction scores had jumped from 2.1 to 4.6 out of 5. "Mr. Thompson," Keisha called out, "Mrs. Johnson wants to thank you again." The elderly woman who'd witnessed the original discrimination approached with a warm smile. "This place feels completely different now. My granddaughter actually wants to work here when she graduates." That was the real measure of success community trust, rebuilt through consistent action. The ripple effect. The viral video had reached 2.3 million views across all platforms. More importantly, it sparked a national conversation about corporate accountability and workplace discrimination. 17 other major retailers had implemented similar respect monitor systems. The #BlackVoicesSpeak hashtag had become a movement. with thousands sharing their own experiences of discrimination and, increasingly, stories of positive change. Corporate America was listening because consumers were watching. Ashley Martinez had completed bias training at her own expense and was working at a nonprofit focused on racial equity. Brad Kowalski had moved out of state, but not before publicly apologizing on social media for his actions. Rebecca Stone had become an unexpected advocate, speaking at corporate diversity conferences about how discrimination destroys businesses and communities. Her transformation was genuine and painful, but necessary. Lessons in Quiet Power. Derek's approach had become a case study in effective leadership. No shouting, no threats, no violence. Just calm documentation, systematic accountability, and intelligent use of corporate power for social good. The most powerful response to prejudice isn't anger, he told a Harvard Business School class via video conference. It's competence combined with character. Show them who you really are, then let the system work. His method was being taught in leadership programs. Document everything, build evidence, use institutional power responsibly, and always choose systematic change over personal revenge. The continuing work. The fresh market transformation was ongoing. Monthly community forums allowed customers to directly influence store policies. The Respect Monitor app had logged 0 discrimination complaints at this location, a stark contrast to the 43 complaints from the previous 6 months. But Derek knew the work wasn't finished. True cultural change took years, not months. Vigilance was eternal. The larger story. This wasn't just another viral video or corporate scandal. It was proof that one person's courage could create systemic change. That documentation was more powerful than confrontation. That real-life stories of injustice could become touching stories of transformation. These Black stories mattered because they showed both the persistent reality of discrimination and the possibility of meaningful change. They were life stories that inspired others to demand better and do better. Call to action. The live stream that changed everything started because one person was brave enough to press record. Your voice matters. Your documentation matters. Your courage to speak up matters. Have you witnessed discrimination in retail stores, restaurants, or workplaces? Share your story in the comments below. Help us document the reality so we can change it. If this story moved you, share it. Subscribe to the Black Voices Speak channel for more real-life stories of courage conquering prejudice. Every subscription amplifies voices that need to be heard. Together, we can transform every injustice into an opportunity for change. Together, we can make sure that dignity and respect aren't privileges, they're rights. One story at a time. One voice at a time. One act of courage at a time. The conversation continues below. What's your story?